Okay, I'm with my son David, and we have a red-eye flight tonight, and that's what this video is about. It's about surviving a red-eye flight and a few tips on how you can better handle a red-eye flight. It's about 11 p.m. and we're just boarding here in a few minutes, and so there we go. What do you say? It's getting late. All right. Did we make it?
Yeah.
How'd it go? How you feeling?
Good.
We just got off a red-eye flight and we put together some ideas. Some of them work really well. And so the first is not really a tip, but it's kind of a rule that you should always follow. And that is, if you can, you should
get some sleep.
That's right. Anytime you can sleep on a flight, it's a good idea to shut your eyes and just go to sleep. Who knows, you might sleep the whole time. And it's happened to me before where all of a sudden you hear a ding and you're landing. And I'll tell you what, that's the best way to go. If you can sleep on a flight, always try to. Don't fight it. And so the question really then is, okay, you want to sleep on a red-eye flight. How do you do it? And what are some tips? Well, the first tip, David, you had.
Probably get a window seat so you can rest your head on it.
Yeah, get a window seat. It's a great tip. You can rest your head on the window seat. If you bring a neck pillow, all the better. You can really prop yourself up and get some shut-eye. So window seat is always a good idea. That leads us to our next tip though, and that is wear warm clothes. Wear pants, a long sleeve shirt, maybe even a light jacket. Those planes get cold. And it's one thing if you're flying in the middle of the day and you're talking with somebody, but if you're on a late night flight, it's not that the plane gets colder, it's just that you're more likely to notice it, especially if you're next to the window. You could get really cold, and they do have that little thin little blankets, but
yeah,
you're better off just wearing some warm, comfortable clothes on a red-eye flight. So, David, what else have you got? What's another tip?
Drink lots of water and avoid soda and sugary drinks.
Yeah, it's tempting to always get. I love a sugary drink just like anybody else, but as much as I love a Diet Coke or something, it's always a good idea to just have water if you're on the plane late at night. You don't have the sugar or the caffeine pumping through you. It's a lot easier to fall asleep if you're just sipping on water. So another thing I had is, a lot of people don't know this, but use the tray table. If you can't get comfortable, you can't lean back all the way because you're in the main cabin, then you can pull down that tray table, right? And you can kind of lean forward and rest your head. Sometimes that's a position that you can kind of get. You're not going to sleep hours like that, but you might doze off by leaning on that tray table and resting your head that way. So, anything else you got?
Try to wear noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah, noise-canceling headphones, a great tip. If you have them, I have a really nice pair that I paid a few $100s for, but you don't need to go out and spend a few $100s. You can actually find some great noise-canceling headphones. David, you found some on Amazon. How much did you?
Yeah, they were $30.
Yeah, $30 for some good noise-canceling headphones. And listen, they weren't quite as nice as the Bose or the Beats, but they were still, I tried them on and used them for a good portion of our flight, and they worked pretty well. So get some noise-canceling headphones. So now let's transition and talk a little bit about what do you do now that you've landed from your red-eye flight. In our case, we took off around 11 p.m. We landed 2 time zones away, and it was 5 a.m. when we landed. You had slept a couple hours, but I didn't. I slept maybe 20 minutes or so. And what are some tips now that we're landed that you found, David?
Take a shower so you can freshen up.
I think it's a great idea. In fact, anytime you can take a shower shortly after a red-eye flight, a shower is always going to reset you. In fact, one of the longest flights I ever had was from South Africa to the United States, and I had a layover in Paris and was able to take a shower in the lounge. And it's amazing how a shower will reset you, kind of wake you up for a few hours, and that's a great idea. What about a nap?
Yes, if you take a nap, make sure to only take a 1.5 hour nap so you don't feel tired after.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to take a nap, especially if you're going to the United States to Europe. A lot of times you're going to land in the morning, and it's tough to push through that whole day. And I will almost always take a short nap, an hour long, maybe 90 minutes at the max, and then force yourself up. It's hard to get up, but force yourself up, and you can usually find some energy and push through until that next evening. And if you take a 4-hour nap, you're going to kind of really throw yourself off. But a short nap, that's what we did. And it worked really well, and we were able to go that whole evening. So, which kind of leads me to maybe the last tip, and that is you should acclimate yourself to your new time zone as quickly as possible. And so we landed, and what did we do?
We got breakfast.
Yeah, we got a breakfast, even though technically it was the middle of the night where we were coming from. It was early morning. We had a breakfast. We pushed through it, and then later on we took a little nap. But if you can acclimate to your new time zone, the quicker the better. I once was in Singapore, and I was so jet lagged, and I fell asleep for like 4 hours. I took a 4-hour nap, and it threw me off for 2 or 3 days. Because then I couldn't go to sleep that night. That's what you want to avoid. But if you can take a short nap, get up, and then go to bed at the normal time that next evening, all the better. You look like you're still tired, buddy. Anyway, all right, so there you have it. Those are some tips for dealing with red-eye flights, tips on how to cope with a red-eye flight.